Reddit, what collection did you have as a child that would have been worth a fortune now had your parents not thrown it away? I remember when State Quarters first came out, my father sent me a collection of every first edition State Quarter, and one time I went to show my friends a while later and couldn't find them. I asked my mother and she said she had to use them for laundry. We were very poor at the time, so I understand, but I was a little sad by it as well because it was one of the only things my father ever sent me. Do you mean the first edition proofs that would have been worth much more than face value even way back then? I remember something about them being more unique than regular State Quarters, and I believe I remember it was because they were first edition. I do remember he didn't just buy every quarter at once, he actually had to hunt them down and purchase them one by one, and it took him a year or so to find all 50. I wish I could remember the exact details, but it was 20 plus years ago and I was a child. They maybe cost 5x face value when they came out, which was mostly for the packaging. You can probably find proofs of all 50 states today for less than $200. My brother had a bunch of first edition Pokémon cards that he spent over a year collecting. Mom took them away for getting in trouble at school, and they were never seen again. I got a PSP for Christmas, about 3 years after I got in trouble for something stupid, and my parents took it away, and then lost it. About 5 years later when we were moving out, I found it. It was on top of the tallest cupboard. My cousin gave me his old Heelys when I was maybe 9, so smack in the middle of the craze, and my mom said I could have been the wheels if I got straight as. And lo and behold, my mom accidentally lost the wheels. After I walked around in wheel-less Heelys for a solid 3 months. Damn, that's some bullshit. It was so difficult to be a child with no control over your world. Not any monetary value, but my dad got rid of my entire Lego collection when I was in the Navy. My sister is pregnant with her first child and mentioned she wished we still had my enormous Lego collection for him, her son. It may not have been worth a fortune, but it meant something to us. Lego is the one thing people throw or give away, and I don't get it. It's such a great toy for future grandchildren and doesn't break. Quite so. The Legos I played with as a child are still around. My son played with them when he is a kid. His toddler will soon be playing with them. I am really impressed with the production quality. You can't tell the 50-year-old Legos from the new ones. My partner kept his Legos from childhood and we use them every day with our 2 boys. He still has the Millennium Falcon in his mom's attic. Soon we will fish that bad boy out. I had the complete collection of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures. I packed them into a box and put them away, then later when looking for them I couldn't find them. Asked my mother. "Oh, those, I threw them out." "You weren't playing with them anymore. That's when you throw out the guest towels and fine china. You weren't using them. You never used them," would be my case. Is it the same story everywhere? My mother has a showcase of fine china and other fine crockery, but I've never ever seen her use them in my 23 years of life. According to her, they're for guests. What guests? I'm 35 and I have some guest china. Not sure why, to be honest. South African coin collection that my older sister threw away without consulting anyone. Edit. Wow, it looks like this resonated with a lot people. Thanks for all your responses and for the silver from the kind person. Stay well, everyone. To answer your questions, thankfully, they were not Krugerrands. My parents would have kept those safe. They were random old copper coins that had become rare because they were old. I was young and naive and had never thought to value them. They may not have been worth that much at the time, but they were valuable to me for sentimental reasons. They may have been worth a few hundred each by now. Who knows? My sister was into different things at the time, so I don't think she had any clue about coin collecting. It was very mean to throw out my stuff, and I think she realized this later on, but I don't resent her for it because we all make mistakes. I found out my brother-in-law was using his grandfather's coin collection to buy energy drinks and cigarettes. There were a lot of mint silver dollars, assorted old coins he had been collecting for decades. I found him basically taking the coins out of their display cases and tossing the plastic case so he could use them at face value. Grandfather at the time had dementia, so no longer cared, and I never found out how much money was lost. I never technically owned it, but I got to see it once. My grandfather's comic book collection. He would be 92 if still alive. It's in a chest in the original family home. Inherited by a hoarder who will probably lose it all someday. Honestly, better than that is the huge luggage trunks the family brought to the States when moving from Czechoslovakia in the 1800s. They are in the same attic. Edit. My father's side of the family is mostly Czech. My mother's side is an American mutt. I used Czechoslovakia for geographic reasons, not national historical. Americans generally don't know nor care. My grandfather's sister ended up with the original house, which is where the collections are. Her daughter has the home now, caring for her father with dementia. We have a very good relationship with them. She is a caring person, but everything is of value. You'd actually have no idea entering the living area of the home. It's the basement, attic, garage and other paid storage areas. All neatly crammed full. I never expected this to blow up like this. I've never had more than 50 upvotes. I'd replied to everyone, but it's pretty difficult. There's a 25% chance I'd end up with possession of them someday. My father, brother and I are the only ones alive who know they exist. And the chest is clearly marked as my grandfather's. Who knows? I'm not greedy or looking for a quick buck. I was only around 10 when I saw them. I don't remember what was in the collection. Why do hoarders always inherit the family home? Hoarding must work like gravity. The more stuff you have, the more stuff you get. Stamps. When I was around 7, I used to stay at this friend of my parents' house. She was older, and sort of a substitute grandmother. Her mother lived with her. She used to collect stamps. When she passed away, the subby-gran gave me the collection. My oldest brother had them in his room. I can't remember why. My parents used to make a big pile in the middle of our rooms of what was messy, and we had a couple of hours to put it all away. My brother faffed about and didn't do it. So the remaining pile was thrown out. In that pile was the collection of stamps. To this day I believe that there would have been valuable stamps in that collection considering the age of the collection, but I'll never know. My dad made enough money to move to Canada by selling the stamps he had collected over the past 30 years, 1968 to 1998. He still collects, but when he moved he didn't really have a choice and had to leave a large part of the collection back in Romania. There were fortunes there, but there are also fortunes here. There may have been rare stamps, but unless they were stored incredibly well, they were probably worthless. I sold my grandpa's life collection of stamps a few months back. First day covers aren't individually numbered, so useful for sending letters, but that's about it. Old stamps and albums are usually acid stained. Apparently a lot of the albums pre-90s were cheapened from China. My grandpa's whole collection, 100 or so first day covers, 20 or so albums and countless loose stamps netted me $50. This was the highest offer of 3 separate appraisals. Geez, after my mom died, my dad met this crazy, Jehovah's Witness bitch, and one thing led to another. About a month before my high school graduation we got into a huge fight over something, and she burned my collection of old D&D books and magic cards. Complete collections. Every first edition book in good condition signed by Gygax. Guess my brother knew him at some point. The real kicker? I rode the wave of the original Magic the Gathering launches back in the day, complete sets of the original series through Homelands? All burned to a crisp. Every once in a while when I want to be depressed about never being able to retire, I look up the card values. Edit, for the curious, this was almost 25 years ago. I don't even know if the crazy bitch was still alive, honestly. My family are JWs too, and yep, they also had issues with stuff I owned. I really liked the Witch magazine and had a lot of them. My stepmother threw all of them because it was evil. I remember being invited to a birthday party to a classmate whose family was very religious. Don't remember what they were exactly, JW, Mormons? Church of Jesus Latter-day Saints or something? Anyway, she got a WITCH calendar from one of the girls, and the parents threw it in the fireplace and burned it in front of everyone. That memory still sticks with me, seeing her utter helplessness and grief as they burned her birthday present in front of all her friends. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you have a similar story, share it in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe for more. Have a great day, or night.